see a terrifying ice bear with a strange compartment in its belly. The door is covered in frost and the bear's eyes are glowing red. This ice bear is a hyper-carnivore. Be careful. The bear looks oddly realistic. Is it taxidermy?
What is this thing? Looks like a giant ice bear.
The lieutenant doesn't answer. His eyes are glued to the animal. A sharp slice of light shines out from its mysterious belly door. A gust of freezing cold air rushes to greet you. You hear a low grumble as the bear regulates itself. This is the inside of a refrigerator. The lieutenant takes a peek inside. His hand has found the holster of his gun.
Relax, Kim. It's a fridge.
Of course, just a giant ice bear-shaped fridge. Let's take a look inside.
The shelves are empty. All you see are crumpled ice cream wrappers with the brand name, Revachol Ice City. A handwritten note has been attached to the door. The fridge is huge. You pocket the note and the little fridge magnets keeping it on the door. A friendly cartoon bear smiles back at you from a glossy cellophane wrapper. It looks nothing like the fridge. The paper still smells of vanilla and chocolate.
What is a giant bear-shaped fridge doing in an abandoned cellar in the first place?
Good question. It looks like an ice cream fridge.
Somewhere in the past, it's summer. 5-year-old Fifette lets go of her mother's hand, change jingling in her pockets as she hops towards the ice cream stand right across the plaza.
So they tried to sell ice cream from this hyper-carnivore?
I know. What an unfortunate marketing choice. What is even worse, the bear is still costing them money to this day.
The fridge buzzes with energy. The electricity bill on this thing must be catastrophic. The note is written with a blue pencil on a piece of lined office paper. The kitchen magnets have left spots on its surface.
Does it say anything interesting?
This is tangential at best, but the lieutenant's detective instinct is still active. Someone has scribbled, S. I can't believe the off-site copy is still here. The illiterate ginger kid keeps stealing stuff from the studio, so I had to hide it somewhere safe. You'll find the filament memory with the off-site copy in the frozen ice cream maker. Please take it home, ASAP. It's important. I'd do it myself if I lived in a civilized place with a freezer. Take care, Sully Swaff.
I wonder who wrote that note.
Looks like someone from that radio game company upstairs. I'm a little surprised they just left their property lying here.
Maybe it's because of the entity.
That's implausible.
Who's the illiterate ginger kid?
Really? You don't have a single guess?
You mean Kuno?
Oh, I'm sure that child would love to get his hands on a filament memory. Even if he doesn't know what to do with it, he'd probably try to pawn it for speed, based on our encounter.
Do you have any idea where the frozen ice cream maker could be?
I don't know. I assume it's somewhere close to the ice bear fridge.
This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top and an electric freezer that appears to be frozen shut. Turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. In the distance you hear water, dripping. It's all gone now. You'll never become a poet or an entrepreneur. What better to assuage the creeping sense of failure than some frozen fat and sugar? This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. The ice squeaks beneath the pry bar. You could swear you succeeded, but the lid simply won't budge.
What is this?
You see the pry bar's metal handle bending right before your very eyes.
Yeah, well, that's a good pry bar. I'm not criticizing it, but this ice cream maker is frozen shut. It takes an advanced tool to get it open.
Advanced? Where do we get one?
I have no idea, officer. This ice cream maker isn't important enough to requisition a special tool.
Sooner or later, you will stumble upon a tool mighty enough. Then we will know what's in this mysterious ice cream maker. Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice bear fridge, and the black one to the ice cream maker nearby. An electric sizzle. The room is slightly quieter now. Something close to you dies with a soft electric purr. Somewhere in the dark, an electric sizzle. This orange machine. A few bricks have fallen off, revealing a compartment behind the wall. It's too dark to see in.
Where are we?
Seems like an old bunker from the Revolutionary period. Look at all those rifles. Must be an old weapons cache.
Look, there's a hole in the wall.
There is, yes. And there also appears to be something inside the hole. Interesting. Do you want to take a look?
Okay, I do.
Your hand reaches deep into darkness and spiderwebs. Rummaging around, you find rusty rifles hidden away.
Rifles, Kim?
Are these any good?
Most of them are rusty and inoperable, like the rest, but one catches your eye. A bolt-action model with a fine wood stock, in better cosmetic order than the others. An old Belmagrave rifle, Revolutionary era, prized for its reliability more than its accuracy. The rest are probably Belmagraves too, just too damaged to be sure. Take it. You're a police officer. Police officers carry guns.
This old Bill McGrath looks okay.
That's a rare sight. Seems to no longer be functional, but still a beautiful thing in its own way.
What does this mean? A rifle here?
It means there are firearms, albeit inoperable, still lying around in Martinez. It's an interesting coincidence, I would say. Might come in useful in the future.
He likes this find. A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. Looks like this furnace has a face, and it's a face of agony.
Kim, what is this thing? Is it a furnace?
Looks like it. Looks like an old central furnace used to heat the building. It's connected to the chimney. No one has used it in ages. No signs of any recent fire. Only dead rats.
It's dark and grimy here. In the darkness you can hear chatter. It's coming from above. A voice or several voices talking to each other. Near the smoke chamber, upstairs. The echo is so prominent, It's impossible to discern what the voices are saying or what's producing them.
What are you doing?
I'm hallucinating. Or maybe it's the entity.
Wait, really? Take your head out of the chimney, please. It's not safe.
It feels safe to know that the lieutenant's got your back, now and always. This sounded real, not imagined. A lush layer of coal now covers your skin, sinking into the wrinkles. Your hands look ancient. You feel the spirit of Ramut Karzai, ancient hero of Grad, pulsing through you. All that's left is to cover your face in war paint.
Hadramut Kazai!
3 dangerous stripes appear onto your cheeks, telling stories of your wild soul.
What are you doing?
I'm the reincarnation of an ancient Ilmaran warrior.
Please wipe your face clean, officer.
No, you're a proud warrior. Keep it. These 3 stripes give you strength in this dangerous realm. It would be foolish to remove them.
We're exploring this dark place and need the protection of my war paint affords.
And this protects you.
This is traditional war paint. It will grant me safe passage with the spirits that guard this place.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Just pointing out, this is not traditional Seminese war paint. No idea where you got it.
With those voices I heard, maybe it's the malignant entity. Pleasant said it lives in a chimney.
You're right. The rooms do look like they're connected. But malignant entities don't exist. At least not the supernatural kind.
Always has to be the skeptic, this man. Then what was the chatter you heard? Something
Hello!
breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths. The chatter of tiny voices above suddenly cease. Then you've awakened the entity.
This is the remote viewers division. Identify yourself.
You hear a low rumble upstairs, the sound of a curtain being pulled aside.
After you, officer.
A hollow ring echoes through the furnace. Your toe hurts.
Hello, I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Milius. So what kind of dye are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Hold on. What do you mean by Malius?
Yes, Amelia is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking.
You must have me confused with someone else. I haven't knocked on your window.
Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind?
Why are you asking me about dice?
I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
As she speaks, her bone-like fingers fiddle with a ring. Her bones light, but her hands strong. Role-playing games? You know the one made by Fortress Accident. Does that count?
No, I was looking for something else. Answers.
Answers? How strange. These days people only come to me for dice and role-playing games. I'm not sure how helpful I'll be, but go ahead and ask.
It almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room, growing out of the shells like stalagmites. This person means you, or no one else, absolutely no harm. She will answer freely and honestly. No falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
How did you become a dice maker?
How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition.
She doesn't let it show, but there's anger in there. She doesn't like jewelers. Thinks they're a mob.
Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there.
Do you like role-playing games yourself?
Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers? They're nice people.
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items. She's thankful for the security they provide her.
Okay, I'd like to order a die from you.
Of course. Tell me what you have in mind.
Do you have any cursed dice?
What do you mean by cursed?
Abracadabra, perish like this world.
Alright, how about I surprise you? Come back in 8 hours with 7 real, and I'll give you your cursed die.
It's a deal.
Great, see you in 8 hours then. Was there anything else?
What do you know about the man who was lynched behind the whirling rags?
Nothing really. I didn't know him.
Who cares about the dead body? We might be dealing with a malignant entity here. The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window.
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening?
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window.
What do you mean by the daily ruckus?
Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids, and lately I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be because of the strike.
She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire. She's not sorry to disappoint you. Informing on someone in a murder investigation would intrude upon her focused existence.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid.
And you never took your eyes off the work to look out the window?
I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness.
It's light here, but dark in the yard at night.
It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone.
This person values focus above all. She keeps her sharp sight on the instruments before her.
Do you often work Sunday nights?
It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home.
I see. Thank you for your answers.
She nods.
Anything else, officer?
Hey, where are we anyway? What is this place?
We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse. Does it mean she's unlawfully occupying a part of the house? Shameful.
Creative.
When she arrived here, there was no room anywhere else. She must have known the other businesses.
I've heard this place is cursed. Did you know that people call it the doomed commercial area?
I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true.
Wait, how do you explain what happened to all those companies then?
It's just capitalism. We only hear about tales of success, so it's often surprising to realize how many ventures actually fail.
Pleasance is the one who sent me. She convinced that the place is swarming with malicious energies.
Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energies spared her somehow?
The curse is just biding its time before it strikes again. Sooner or later everyone will fail, even her.
Alright, but it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in rags? Some people say it's part of the building complex.
No, the warning isn't doing well either. Its waiters just took off and customers have trouble paying bills.
And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energies. Strange, isn't it?
It's because she's in cahoots with the demons. Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
The curse will get to you, have no doubt about it. It just doesn't care about earthly time frames.
Is that what you think, officer? That the curse is real?
The jig is up. The she-demon knows you've uncovered her true identity. Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest.
I think it still might be you that's causing this.
So I'm the Grand Dragon in the cave. Might I ask what supports this claim?
There's something ghostly about you, ethereal even.
Ethereal? Thank you, but I think it's just the lighting.
No, it's the troubled color of her energetic vibrations.
No, I mean it. The energetic vibrations are off. The same strategies in your past, darling.
Of course you do. Show me a person in Martinez who doesn't have any tragedies in their past, and then we'll talk. If you ever find a way to explain all those inconsistencies in the curse, then let me know.
That's all she has to say on the subject. She has been thorough and truthful, as far as we can see. Plaisance needs to hear about this. Perhaps if you combine your psychic energies, you will make sense of the situation.
Do you know what happened to the other tenants? Everyone else is gone.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind. Rats scuttle in the dark rooms under the abandoned blow dryers and dusty mannequins. Cobwebs cover rotors and radio computers alike. So much failure.
There used to be a hair salon here, right?
Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here. Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word.
You wouldn't like it either. The others would laugh at you. A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad. It's not about the haircut, it's about the confidence.
And what's wrong with a bit of experimenting? The customer should have been more open-minded.
I guess it just wasn't the time yet.
What happened to the gym?
It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemitep's boxing club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime.
And who was Artemitep?
A kind man from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger. and that's why he wanted to start the gym, as his way of giving back.
Maybe that's what Kuno needs, a community-centric boxing club.
Kuno? Who's Kuno?
He's a little ginger gremlin who likes to defile dead bodies.
Oh yes, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth. Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid.
How did the community project work out?
It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines.
You should have known it. It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since.
What's up with the broken windows?
Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff milias. Who would have guessed?
What's a snuff milieu? Trust me, you don't want to know.
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own.
Cool. Very cool about the debris. But what's Snuff Milia?
It's a sub-rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that, as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world. What does she mean to get off on it?
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators.
Did someone here make stuffed animals? I saw a mound flying around.
You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs.
But what drugs exactly?
I need to know what drugs he was doing for my police report.
He got high on some weird taxidermy chemicals. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Eventually, they caused him to lose control of his bladder. The smell was awful.
Even you can probably do better than that. You can almost see it. A small, sickly old man, hunched behind his work desk, his pants stained with old piss, stuffing a sad, stiff-legged raccoon dog. The entire scene looks tragic.
Found creepy mannequins.
There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came.
I didn't know insects had any rights. Or activists.
Yeah, the atelier didn't know it either. They produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection.
I'm glad that someone took care of the little guys. I like insects.
Really? Anyway.
Poor guy. Suddenly, you get a feeling that insects are important to the case somehow. It's hard to say why.
What's with the rotor blades and skis?
They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumotiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is.
Interesting. What do these transmissions say?
The usual, I imagine. That he's been thinking up all kinds of new business plans and can't wait to get started on them just as soon as he returns.
Men like that are a curse.
Sure, but Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I have no idea why those skids and blades are still lying around in the house. Not much use now, I guess.
They were just the props. Why return them? Maybe you could make a sword out of one. No, wait, forget it. It would take too long.
I found a strange machine.
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio.
She liked them.
They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over Wirral.
That's understandable. Fantasies are serious things. The mind is the drawing board of history.
They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules.
They had some kind of an accident with the backup copy, right?
An accident? I wouldn't know anything about that. I just heard they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time.
What went wrong?
Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Really? They must have been on a gigantic ego trip.
That's what I thought. Because when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep up new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic, and to show up to work on time.
She's right. Showing up to work on time is important. Showing up to work on time is hard. No, scratch that. Showing up to work at all is difficult, especially if you've been drinking.
Well, showing up to work on time is incredibly hard.
And so is producing something extraordinary.
Something strains her face before she looks up again.
Anything else?
There was a terrifying taxidermied bear in the cellar.
Oh boy, the fabled Revachol ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas.
Indeed, what were the other ideas?
Alright, what about the other ideas?
There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing.
Sounds like she really didn't like those girls. Sounds like she really doesn't know how to be a female ally. Fritta does the same thing.
I know a girl just like that. She works in Fritz as a cashier and she's not particularly friendly.
Employing soaky teenage girls is a widespread practice, yes. Unfortunately, they always come in packs. I'm talking about acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the shop. At least that's what happened with Revachol ICT. And they already had the bear.
What about the bear?
The bear.
It didn't work out?
Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Eventually, Revachol ICT lost the price war to its rival, Class A 5000. Class A 5,000 soaked caramel sundaes for only 5 cents a piece, out of regular fridges.
I killed the bear.
You did what?
I had to kill the bear to become the bear.
I can see the stripes.
The bear put up quite a fight.
That bear was one mighty mammal. The taxidermist who made it said it was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. He called it Megatherion.
Sounds cool. Scary, but cool.
Megatherion?
Megatherion, a mega wild beast.
What's a mega wild beast?
It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life by telling you to do more drugs, mostly.
A wise and noble beast, guiding you toward the land where the streets are paved with drugs.
The horrific necktie tightens around your neck, strangely excited, but it doesn't feel particularly fun this time around.
I do drugs. I've got vision beasts myself.
Do you? Well, good luck keeping it under control. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire.
Little sparkling embers under the window. Outside it's light. Light scatters from the low-hanging cloud cover. There's always the threat of snow.
Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps? I've been here for a long time.
Actually, I had other questions.
Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else?
A gust of cold air sweeps through the chimney. The stones and minerals on the shelves rattle as though agitated. For a moment, it almost feels as though you're outside the building, exposed to the atmosphere.
Hey, Neha. The curse is real, and I figured out why it has spared you.
Didn't we already talk about this?
It's because you're not in the same building as the others. This isn't technically the doomed commercial area.
What are you talking about? My address is exactly the same. Rue de Saint-Guilain 10.
No, the old coal plant that used to be here was subsumed into the new venture. Its ruins swallowed up. Yet it has a different address in the heart of the city.
No, this used to be a coal plant. You're in a chimney of another building.
This doesn't make any sense. Are you saying my business was spared because of a technicality? Where is this coming from?
I'm just using logic. It's windy in here. You probably haven't properly sealed the chimney crown.
You're right. I should take a trip to the roof once the snow is gone. Does it mean that I'm safe from failure?
Don't let her become complacent. She still needs to ward her soul against the evil forces.
Actually, it's only your workshop that's protected. You should still do something to defend your person. What?
Do you know what this is?
A lucky charm? A Simonese sword?
It's a mourning ring. I made this when my first company failed. It was a small jewelry shop right here in the East Delta Commerce Center, built with the little I inherited from my parents. I drove it into the ground within a year. I didn't have what you would call a viable business plan.
See? The curse is real. I bet you didn't run this little jewelry shop from the protected depths of the chimney.
No, you're right. I didn't. It wasn't just the jewelry shop either. I always thought that it was just the world that you were supposed to try again and again until you finally succeed. And now you're telling me what? That it was all because I didn't run my little shops and ventures from a dump inside an abandoned chimney?
Don't call it a dump. You made it nice and cozy here.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the entire world that's cursed. It's such a precarious place. Nothing ever works out the way you want it. That's why people like role-playing games. You can be whoever you want to be, you can try again. Still, there is something inherently violent even about dice rolls. It's like every time you cast a die, something disappears. Some alternative ending or an entirely different world. But anyway, thanks for sharing your theories, officer.
Homosexual underground. Maybe you should stop obsessing about your own and other people's sexuality. Feels like it's about time to do that. You thought about this for 8 hours? Not only should you stop, you should tell Kim you've stopped obsessing about other people's sexuality too. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Unless you already got him killed because you were obsessing about your sexuality. There's no way of telling from within your brain. But for your own sake, please say you didn't.